I released my first Steam game trivia war in February, and now that it's been a few months, I think it's time that we discuss how much money it's made. Roll intro. Now, I'm not going to hold you hostage or make you hunt through the video to find the number. As of recording this video, the gross amount I made on Trivia War is $1,214. And now that that's out of the way, I'm going to get into some more specific numbers, what they mean, and of course, what do I think I could have done better or differently. So, if you didn't already know, my name is Tez Fraser. I'm a game dev and content creator. And on this channel, we talk about everything game dev, tech, and even art. You should like to subscribe because I didn't make you hunt through the video to figure out what you actually wanted to know. Also, if you're interested in making that number go up, you could always buy Trivia War on Steam. I appreciate every sale, and all of it goes to supporting me, this channel, and of course my transparency. Links in the description. Anyways, back to business. Let's take a look at the raw numbers. I released Trivia War for $9.99. As of recording this video, I have sold 135 copies, which honestly, I think is a great number. You know, that's well outside of the range of family and friends. People that I don't know played and enjoyed my game, which I think is really cool. And it doesn't hurt to actually make some money from games too. First time in years that I could say that confidently. But if we look closer, we can see that I have about 20% returns, which is kind of high. And I have a few reasons that I think that happened. I think the first being that Trivia War is not a very long game. You can play a lot of Trivia War incredibly fast, which is why you see an average time of around 16 minutes. Shorter games will always have a higher return rate, somewhere in the 12 to 15% range. So that wasn't insane to me. Eventually though, when my return rate started to creep into the 20s, it started to become alarming. And honestly, at first it kind of hurt to see the returns. I spent months of my life creating this game the best that I could. And I think my description and trailer are a very accurate representation of the game, but I started to notice something. Many of the days I'd get a return, I'd see 2 downloads from the same region. I think reading comprehension is to blame. Despite me telling people that it is a local multiplayer game, and that the only way to do online multiplayer is with Steam Remote Play, I think these people went ahead and bought the game anyways, realized they couldn't play online together, and promptly returned it. Now, I have no direct evidence of this, but I think that my hunch not only makes sense, but is marginally supported by the fact that there were several times I had multiple buys in a region, and then saw the same number of returns within a few hours. Honestly, I'm not sure if there was much more I could really do to stop this, other than maybe make an extra bold disclaimer similar to what Boomerang Fu does. That being said, I think an 80% acceptance rate is not bad for my first Steam game ever. You live and you learn. I mentioned earlier that the average game time is 16 minutes. That's pretty low, but once again, that's the nature of the game. I really didn't do any testing to see how long the game would last. But for my next game, I'm hoping for it to be a lot longer than that, and in turn, hopefully that discourages returns. We could also see that of 135 downloads, there were only 121 unique players, and 29 people returned it. Meaning, there are people that potentially returned the game that never even played it, and that there are people that own the game that have never played it. The latter, I can't complain. Money is money, and I'm perfectly happy to be in the back of someone's Steam catalog. It's kind of an honor. The most important number is probably the $870, which represents gross revenue, minus taxes, returns, chargebacks, etc. This is the number closest to what I'll actually get, which I still don't think is a completely accurate number. But honestly, I'm not sure. Math is hard. So I'm recording this in July post-summer sale. Also, Steam payments are about a month off, so I actually haven't received any of the money from that sale yet. I can tell you what I've actually been paid out and into my bank account, and that's $541.19, which is a far less exciting number than that $1,200 from the beginning, but you know, that's several $100s that I didn't have before. And I think I have $50 to $100 coming my way next month, which for the record, Steam only pays you once you've reached a minimum threshold of $100. Since I released in February, I've had 3 payouts, but one of those months I did not actually meet the threshold. So that is something to note. Your money will be in Steam purgatory until you make enough. Here's something that's cool about a Steam release. Once you release your game on Steam, your wish list will climb significantly. That 440 was somewhere between 60 and 90 when I released the game. So releasing it actually gave it much more exposure. If you're paying attention at home, you're probably wondering why my $10 game with 135 copies doesn't have a gross revenue of $1,350. There's 2 reasons for this. The first being that I have Steam manage my price to be market appropriate. $10 for a game in the United States is cheap. Whereas somewhere with a lower cost of living, India for example, that could be very expensive. perhaps the equivalent of a $20 game here. So Steam adjusts the price to be appropriate for the market that the game was bought in. The second answer is sales. I'll be real with you. Trivia War literally goes on sale every single month and participates in all the Steam sponsored sales as well. My game mostly only sells during sales. And that might be the case for your indie game too. Some money will always be better than no money. Put your game on sale as often as you can to maximize your revenue. Now, as far as profit to work, we can break it down like this. I worked on version 1 of Trivia War for 2 months, with version 2 coming out about a month later. My net is $870. It cost me $100 to put the game on Steam and $0 to produce it, not including my labor. So if I paid myself directly proportional to the amount of months that I worked on the game, then I would have had a monthly salary of about $256. Now, you might not think that's a lot of money, but for a lot of people, that number is zero. So I'm happy. It's also basically now become a form of passive income for me. Now, will I update the game anyways, despite the revenue not being worth it to do so? Absolutely. I'm an indie dev, and if I was in this to make tons of money, I wouldn't be here. Do I want to make a game one day that's really popular and cool and does make a ton of money? Of course I do. But I make games because I love to do it. Now it's time to reflect on what I think I did wrong and what I think I could do better. We touched on it a bit earlier, but I think I should have been even more explicit about it being a local multiplayer game. And to take it a step further, I'm not sure if I would produce another local multiplayer game. It was difficult to test, and it's a pretty niche market. There's a barrier of entry for many gamers, many of whom who play solo or online. I'd probably also do a better job of advertising. I say this every time, but I've got to be better about getting my games in front of faces weeks, if not months before I release a game. That way, on release day, I had tons of people anticipating, waiting, ready to buy and review. I'd also say maybe the price point was a bit of concern for some folks. I based it off the common price of similar games like Jackbox, but Trivia War was not nearly as polished, so I can see why maybe some folks didn't think it'd be worth as much. I think the last thing for me is I wish I'd given myself more time to do things like graphics. I am not a professional artist, and I basically did all the art I could from the game. But if I had more time, I think I'd have tried harder or even done a better job of trying to find someone that could make the game even better. Now, here's what I think I did right. Getting the game out in 2 months. Making smaller, faster games seems to be the latest path to success. It's so much easier to recover from just a few months of work rather than spending 3 years making a game that doesn't make any money. Devlogs. I probably should have started them earlier, but my devlogs definitely helped to spread the word and in turn exposure for my game, which of course then converts to sales. Scope. I scoped down this game in a way that was manageable but still fun. And that's a skill that's hard to do that I'm actively still learning about. And finally, I think the best thing that I could have done was actually release my game on Steam. I'm going to do a full video about this, but let's just say not all app stores are built the same. Anyways, I've drone on about this for far too long at this point. If you made it this far in the video, please like and subscribe. It encourages me to continue to be transparent online. And that in turn helps you all to know what you're in for as an indie dev. Let me know in the comments how your Steam game did, or if you have any questions that I didn't answer here. I'd be happy to do a follow-up. Once again, my name is Tez Fraser. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.